Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing a prediction video for the upcoming 2026 Oklahoma Republican governor primary runoff election between two candidates, Republicans Mike Mazzei and Gentner Drummond. This is expected to be a very close race in this runoff. We'll get into the general election as well and who is favored, but spoiler alert, it's Oklahoma, so one of these Republicans is probably favored, but this is going to be a very important primary for who will become the next governor of the state of Oklahoma, and I can't wait to break it down all for you in this video today. Mike Mazzei and Gentner Drummond, who are these two gentlemen that are running in this race? Well, just to be clear here, the Oklahoma governor's race, the incumbent Republican governor, Kevin Stitt, is term limited and cannot seek a third consecutive term. The primary elections were held on June 16th, 2026. Oklahoma has an election law that says if no candidate breaks 50% of the vote in the primary, the runoff elections will take place further on, and they're being held on August 25th, 2026. The Democratic primary was settled already, with Sydney Munson winning over 50% in the Democratic primary, so she will be the Democratic candidate. On the Republican side, though, it was a very tough fight with several candidates in this race. Gentner Drummond and Mike Mazzei have advanced to the runoff. To do so, they defeated several other Republican candidates, including most notably Chip Keating, Charles McCall, and Jake Merrick. Now, for Gentner Drummond and Mike Mazzei, in terms of who they are, Gentner Drummond is the current Oklahoma Attorney General, and Mike Mazzei, the former Oklahoma Secretary of Budget, former state senator, and candidate for state treasurer in 2022. Now, Gentner Drummond has some endorsements from some labor unions, but Mike Mazzei you may be most familiar with because he has the endorsement of President Donald Trump, who endorsed him before the primary. So that certainly is going to give Mazzei a very important leg up, likely, in the runoff election, especially if Trump does a follow-up truth or follow-up tweet saying his support for him. In terms of how things went, we're going to show the results more in depth in just one moment here, but the polling showed a very tight competitive race that usually Drummond and Mazzei, since Trump's endorsement, only one poll took place, but it showed Mazzei up, Drummond in second, and the rest of the candidates far below there. So that's pretty much how it ended up. Ended up with Drummond getting about 26.3%, Mazzei about 26%, Chip Keating 18.5%, Jake Merrick 14.5%, and McCall 11.8%. And again, we'll be breaking this down more in just one moment. In the runoff, some endorsements that have been made. Gentner Drummond has gotten the endorsement of several state legislatures in the state of Oklahoma. Mike Mazzei's gotten the endorsement of a handful of statewide elected officials, including John O'Connor, the former Attorney General, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, and current governor Kevin Stitt, of the governor, obviously, of the state of Oklahoma, the current one right now. In terms of the polling, though, it's been a very tight race, and the Signal poll from back in June showed Drummond up 44 to 42, so a 2-point race in that one. Polls Decision Sciences shows Mazzei up in both of their polls in both June and August, shows Mazzei up about 6%, but it's important to note that this is sponsored by a group called Club for Growth, who is opposing the candidacy of Gentner Drummond. And usually in polls that are partisan or are aligned on one behalf of a candidate or against another one, the results are usually artificially inflated to show one candidate doing better than the other, which means if it's a 6-point lead for Mazzei over Drummond, it's probably somewhere in between like a tied race into a 1 to a 2-point lead for Mike Mazzei right now. But there's also a ton of undecideds left in this race, still 18% undecided. A new poll just came out on the same day from CHS and Associates, a Republican pollster, showing it a tied race at 44 to 44, with still 12% of the vote undecided. So this is a very, very close race that both Drummond and Mazzei, as of right now, based on the polling data, are very much both capable of winning this race, which makes it a very exciting one to break down in this upcoming primary. In terms of the election results from last time, we'll take a quick look here. Again, Drummond got about 26.25%, Mazzei got about 25.97%. Now, on the Decision Desk HQ site, it's a little bit confusing here because there's a ton of people in the race. Drummond is the red color, Mazzei is the yellow, Keating's the pink, Merrick's the purple, or pinkish purple, and McCall, is like the lighter purple. So it was a very competitive race. I mean, just looking at the top, 5 candidates here, you have 26%, 26%, about 18%, 15%, and 12% nearly, all in the top 5 candidates, a very large showing for all of them. From there, the remainder 4 candidates all had 1% of the vote or less across the state. So obviously for Drummond or Mazzei, the main goal of this primary is going to be trying to consolidate a lot of the support of Keating, Merrick, McCall, of those candidates the ones that they campaigned against. Now, as I mentioned, I believe one of them did endorse. Mazzei may have gotten the endorsement of one of these other candidates. Yes, Jake Merrick did endorse Mike Mazzei in this race, so that could certainly be very beneficial in terms of trying to win over the voters of the fourth place getter, Jake Merrick. As for Chip Keating, I don't know if Chip Keating's name has made an endorsement in this race. I haven't seen his name pop up yet, so thus far he has not. So only one of the top 4 vote getters and Jake Merrick has made an endorsement so far. As for Charles McCall, I do not see his name on the list for Mike Mazzei, or do not see his name on the list for Gentner Drummond as well. So it's going to be a very interesting primary to see, can they win over their base of support. In terms of the votes here and across the map, we're going to do the margin here. And Drummond did most well up here in Kay County, down here through the central part of the state in Payne, and then it all comes into Oklahoma County, which obviously is the capital city of Oklahoma City. This was Gentner Drummond's best area of support. Now, what was interesting about this primary was there's a ton of divided vote here. So even though he won by about 3%, he only won Oklahoma City, Gentner Drummond, by about 1,400 votes or so. This was one of his largest showings, and the split vote, I mean, the best candidate getting 26% of the vote or so by overall number, shows just how close and divided this was. For Mike Mazzei, the best supporting area he got was out of Tulsa, where he got about 35.28% of the vote, and Drummond got 32.84%, with Mazzei winning here by roughly about 1,400 votes or so in this area. So in terms of this primary, what we're looking to see here, we're probably going to be watching Drummond in Cleveland and Oklahoma City. How is he doing in this area of the state? We're going to be watching at Tulsa and how Mike Mazzei is doing in that area of the state and throughout the eastern border of Oklahoma. And the battlefield and the battleground is going to be who gets Jake Merrick's territory out here in the western part of Oklahoma. Again, smaller in overall numbers, but still very important area and a very close Republican primary, going to add up very quickly. Chip Keating's area of support down here in the western part of Oklahoma is going to be up for grabs. And then the eastern part and southeastern part of the state was McCall territory, where he did very well in this portion of the state. So aside from this thin area leading to Oklahoma City and Tulsa, most of the map in terms of just the map of Oklahoma is very much up for grabs in this primary. And it's not 100% clear which candidate is most I would say favored to get this in terms from a map perspective right now, which again makes for a very interesting primary. Now, just from the kalshi odds right now, Mazzei's currently favored at 76%. Drummond is at 25%. So Mike Mazzei is certainly favored in the odds right now. But I mean, 76 to 25% when you think about it is not a very massive amount. Again, Francesca Hong was at 99% chance to win or something like that, and David Crawley pulled off the upset. So 76 to 25 certainly suggests there's a good amount of doubt in there among are people saying that they think Mazzei's going to win. There's a good amount of people saying that Gentner Drummond can pull off this win. And the question is going to be ultimately, as you look in this map here, Merrick, a lot of Merrick's voters, since he supported Mike Mazzei, will probably end up going to him. So we may see this part of the state doing well for Mike Mazzei, along with the Tulsa and the eastern part of the state. But then can Gentner Drummond grow in the areas around Oklahoma City? And can he get the areas of the Charles McCall support down here in the eastern to southern part of Oklahoma? That's going to be the ultimate question for this primary. In terms of overall votes here, the largest two vote getters in terms of counties in the state were Tulsa and Oklahoma. No surprises here, as they're two of the larger overall counties in the entire state. By total registration, Oklahoma's first, Tulsa second, and then Cleveland is third, which was a pretty big drop off from that nearly 400,000 voters down to 180,000. And then Canadian County was number 4, with Merrick at plus 1.5 in terms of those vote numbers here. So going to be a very competitive election, it's looking like, in this race. We can go to our election simulator website. This is electionenjoyer.com. I've mentioned this a few times in my prior videos, but I've started using this website to run a quick election simulation in this video and other videos as well for final election predictions I think are very good. I've just loaded up the default setting on the website. I've not adjusted any of the sliders or anything. This is all just 100% how they have it on the website. I'm going to run through a simulation, how they currently have it as their default setting on the website. And then in another tab, I have it pulled up as well that I'm going to go through and adjust the settings on that one. So first things first, let's go through here, click play, and we'll see what their simulator ends up having for Drummond versus Mike Mazzei. And so far, it is off to a massive, massive lead for Gentner Drummond over Mike Mazzei in this state. I'm starting to think the settings probably need to be adjusted, as Drummond's up at 94.2%, Mazzei's at 50 or at 5.8. And yeah, definitely we're going to see a way more competitive election than this, no doubt about that. But we'll just let it get to the end here. They have Drummond winning literally every single county in the state. Okay, so that was fun. Now let's get into the actual map here, what we're looking for here. So they have a 93.7, but now we can adjust the sliders here. Let's go through a few scenarios here. Let's go through one where Gentner Drummond defeats Mike Mazzei, and let's say he defeats him by about, I think right now it stays under 10 points either way, so we're going to say about 55 to 45. This is what it looks like across the state here, where a lot of these counties are all still won by Gentner Drummond, but there's definitely a good mix here of lighter yellow, solid yellow, not too many like super massive victories on the map for Drummond versus Mazzei. That's what it looks like if that were to happen. A little bit closer here, we can get to say 51-49 or so for Drummond over Mazzei, and you're seeing a good amount of these red counties coming in across the state for Mike Mazzei here and there. Oklahoma City, specifically for Drummond. Try and do a hone in on it here. It's coming in as well pretty strongly. Here it is for Drummond by about 2.8% of the vote or so, but still going to play an important role for Gentner Drummond. He'll likely need to win there to hold on. Tulsa, though, coming in for Mike Mazzei by about 7 points, again showing up very strongly in that regard. So that's a very narrow victory for Gentner Drummond and what that looks like. In terms of a narrow victory for what Mike Mazzei looks like by about 2 points, you see Mazzei getting a lot of these red counties down here and the southern part of the state doing well, doing very well in Tulsa, doing well in these northern part of this northeastern parts of Oklahoma as well, coming in strongly. Oklahoma City in this scenario does narrowly flip, I do believe, to Mike Mazzei over Gentner Drummond by literally 0.2%. Again, don't know if that's going to end up happening on election night, but that's what they have it looking like on the site here. In terms of another victory here, we're going to have 52.4% for Mazzei, 47.6% for Drummond. This is where you see Mazzei start to run up the vote in a lot of these red areas throughout the state. Oklahoma City flips by about 3 points. Tulsa's going red about 13, but you still see some pockets of yellow for Gentner Drummond across the state here. And then we'll go lastly just up to like a 55-45 here on the map or so, an 11-point victory for Mazzei, where he essentially wins everywhere across the state. Very barely or very narrowly in a few areas, but throughout the entire state, he pretty much wins basically everything. So based on this site and what their numbers are showing, if it's going to be like a 10-point victory or more, you're probably looking at Mazzei or Drummond winning like a lot of these counties, or pretty much all of them. If it's under that point, if it's like 5 points or under or so, you're going to see more of a split divided election. There's a lot of undecided vote where it kind of makes it tricky because primaries are always unpredictable and anything can happen. But with a lot of undecided vote and the polls essentially tied right now, I think we're in for a very close race, one that we're going to see a split of yellow counties and red counties. I think something more along the lines of like a 52-48 with good pockets of yellow, good pockets of red across the state as well. I think is more what we're probably close to seeing. In terms of the overall turnout projections, they forecast about 290,000 or so votes in this simulation of the about 403,000 cast in the initial primary. It makes sense in a runoff. There'll be less people knowing about it, less people turning out to vote and engaging in it. So they have about 289,000. And then the winner to advance to the general election. For my sliders, I would have it right around Mazzei at 52 and Drummond around 48. I think that's kind of what we're forecasting to. I really think this is going to be a close race. I really do. I think Mazzei having the endorsement of President Trump and the current governor is going to be just enough to give him a little bit more over the edge there, but I think it's definitely going to be very, very close. Lastly, just looking really quickly at the general election here, a lot of the predictions have it, no doubt, as solid Republican. Race to the White House, on their website, they have it as Mazzei with winning the Republican primary, first of all, and about a 96% chance to win this race. Projected margin of victory of about 19.4%. They break it down. The national environment gives the Democrats a 2.5% advantage. Experience winning gives the Democrats another 1.1. So Democrats are up about 3.6 at this point. But then fundraising, Republicans go up about 6.2. So that wipes out the Democratic lead right there. About like a 3-point lead or so. And then the state partisan lean of Oklahoma completely wipes out any Democratic chances. Another 16.7%. Republican wins about 19.4 is how they have it going on their site. On Vote Hub, they also have pretty substantial results here as well. They do have Oklahoma County is the only Democratic one county in the state going Democrat, about 12.4%, but they have it still a Republican plus 21-point margin at the statewide level for Sidney Munson at 39.5 and the Republican nominee at 60.5. So they're still undecided on who the primary winner is going to be until that plays out, but they're definitely forecasting a very reliable Republican win as well. PulseMax website, they have Mike Mazzei 98.4% chance to win against Sidney Munson. They do also have Oklahoma going blue. They only have it going about 2.2% though in that county, and they have a 30.4% projected margin of victory. So that's where they have it. All three websites definitely have it listed as safe for the Republicans. No real surprises there. But yeah, so for my final prediction for Mike Mazzei versus Gentner Drummond in the Republican runoff, I think we're going to see Mike Mazzei pull out a narrow win against Gentner Drummond, but I think we're going to see it fall in that lean Mazzei category, which is going to be in between a 1 and 5% margin of victory. I think it's a very tight race. The polling has showed a very tight race. Even the odds would show Mazzei up like 76 to 24. For odds standpoint, that's still pretty narrow in a pretty competitive election. And again, primaries, we've seen this a lot the last few months, are very unpredictable, very competitive. The polling can be wildly off on them. So I think we're going to see a very tight race that goes down to the wire, one that Mike Mazzei narrowly pulls off by right around that 4-point margin. But I'm definitely interested to come back and look at this after the election results are all in, because I have a feeling this is going to be a very close one and should definitely be a very fun one to talk about. But that's what I have for you in this video today on the Oklahoma governor Republican primary. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you could hit like and hit subscribe, as it really helps out me and my channel and helps YouTube push my video out to more people who may be interested in this video like yourself. So I'd really appreciate it if you can do that for me. And yeah, if you really like the video, again, I really appreciate hitting like and subscribe so you keep staying notified when I make more videos, which I do every single day. For now, though, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please remember to hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment below telling me your thoughts, and hope to see you in a future video. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, I really appreciate it if you could hit like and hit subscribe as well. It would really help me and my channel out a whole lot if you could do that for me. You can see in the circle in the top left the subscribe here button to subscribe to the channel. On the right, there are going to be 2 video pop-ups for you. My latest video will be on the top, and a recommended playlist by myself will be on the bottom as well. In the bottom left of the screen, you'll see my channel name, Anthony's Election Center, which you are currently watching. On my Facebook, Anthony.ElectionCenter is also there. And if you want to reach out to me on email, anthpredicts@gmail.com is my email. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. If you want to look for any of these, obviously in more time, please feel free. But for now, though, that is it. I really thank you all for watching and hope to see you in a future video.